Right, so there's clearly a lot of really great research happening in universities and research institutes around the world. However, patients, we do understand, because sometimes feel a little bit removed from that kind of research, which is very fundamental. But here to help us understand a bit more about how patients can get involved is our Chief Executive Officer, Susan Ruediger. She's going to interview an incredible family who has decided to become a part of the solution. Susan?
Thanks, Keith. What an honor it is to introduce you to the Graf family. Peter and Cody and their daughter Stella are going to be joining us today. I met the Graf family actually through Dr. Soku, who talked a lot about that letter that he still has above his desk. That came from the Graf family. And they read about the research at DTx, and they wanted the DTx team to know how interesting, critical, motivating that project is for this family, and what that means to them. All right, so glad you're here. Thank you so much for being here, guys. So is Stella there? Because I can't see her. Is she there on camera as well?
Yep, Stella's here with us.
There you are. Hi, got you guys. Hi. Hi, Stella. How's it going?
Good.
Good. So Stella, unlike you, I have CMT1A also. And I want to hear a little bit about you and what you think about CMT.
Don't like it.
I don't like it either. Tell me, why don't you like your CMT?
Because I want to do things by myself.
What kinds of things does it keep you from doing?
Sometimes it's hard to open doors.
Yep. Yep. How old are you, Stella?
8.
8. All right. And do you remember when you first started noticing that it was hard to open doors?
Not really.
Not really. Do you remember when you first started having trouble with your hands?
No.
So it just kind of feels like it's always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've probably been listening a little bit, and you've heard from a couple of the scientists who are working on CMT. What do you want them to know about your CMT?
Do things by myself.
You want them to know that you want to do things by yourself. All right. So you want them to work to make it go away for you. Yeah, me too. Me too. So Stella, thank you for saying hello to everybody here. I really appreciate it. It's nice to meet you. And I'm so glad you're here. And I'm going to take a few minutes to talk with your mom and dad for a minute. Can I do that? Yeah, thanks for coming. So Peter and Cody, you are Stella's parents, and you guys don't have a history of CMT in your family. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it was news to us, you know, we didn't know why she was displaying symptoms, and it took us a while to troubleshoot, and we did a family history on us, and we didn't have anything that cropped up on either side. So
how long until she had her symptoms was it until you got your diagnosis?
Oh, it was almost a year, maybe 9 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly because her symptoms were pretty unusual. We were seeing symptoms in her hands, and mainly in one hand more than the other, which kind of threw everybody off. But a nerve conduction test was kind of the shortcut to figuring out that it was in more places than we could see. And then a genetic test, or like a chromosomal test, is what eventually pinpointed it for us.
And how did you feel once you had that genetic diagnosis?
It was scary. I mean, it felt really uncertain. We didn't know anything about it, or what to expect, or how things would progress. And we, you know, want the world for our kids. We want everything. And all of a sudden it was like a crashing reality that is not our situation. It is, you know, altered.
I think up until that point, we still thought maybe it was from hurting her elbow, or, you know, a weird fall she had as a baby. And that's what they thought, maybe some kind of nerve pinch issue, again, because it was really just one hand. So it was a bit of a shock, right? It came out of nowhere. And at the time we didn't know what CMT was. We had never heard of it, right? It was just totally new. So it kind of floored us when we got the diagnosis.
So once you got the diagnosis, what did you do?
Well, I mean, like any parent, I think we tried to learn as much as we could about it. And that's actually how I got onto the CMT Research Foundation webpage, just Googling around, and your website was a great resource for us, right? I mean, we learned so much about it. We learned about all this research that's going on. So yeah, I mean, we just tried to learn everything we can, and I've gotten Stella involved with therapy and anything we can do, right? Like any parent, right? We'll just do anything we can to try to slow it down and help her out. So
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about how you found Artie and his team at DTx.
yeah, so it was on your website, signing up for any email notifications, things like that, and we learned about the research going on at DTx, and it's super exciting for us to read about, even if we can't understand all the details, right? It's just really encouraging. And so yeah, I just thought, for us, we didn't know anybody with CMT. It's just totally new, and I thought I just would write to DTx and Artie and really just to say thank you and encourage him and his team to keep going, right? To keep pushing that there's people like us out here waiting. And yeah, and it's, it's like I say, like we're constantly hitting the refresh button on any CMT related news, right? It's that important to us, especially Stella at her age, and watching it progress in her hands, and first her left hand and now it's in her right. And we want it, we just want them to know, right? We're waiting. So, and I was thinking about some of the presentations we've seen with the little box and whisker plots, like how exciting that is for parents to see, right? Even a small change, right? And effect size, sample size, whatever, it's something's out there, right? And so we're just really excited to see that. So we just wanted to put a kind of a face and a story behind people like us, and let the people at DTx know that there's a lot of us out there, right? That we're doing what we can, and we're really excited about the work they're doing.
Yeah, there are 3 million of us out there who are waiting for people like DTx.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There are. Tell me a little bit about, I know you participated in the patient panel, and we heard just about every speaker talk about the role of patients, and even one of our audience members asked the question, like, how important is it that patients get involved with the pharma companies? And you have, in your own unique way, talk a little bit about that patient panel and what that has done for you.
Yeah, that was really special for us. We were invited to participate in the panel with DTx and other folks with CMT, and for us that was still on the Zoom, but it was the first time for us to ever see or talk to anybody with CMT, to see other patients, and so that was really powerful and exciting. And then to hear from all these brilliant scientists doing their work. And hear their stories and the progress they're making. It was a really powerful experience. It felt empowering to be a part of it, I think, for us. So yeah, it was really neat. It was really emotional. So we were really happy to be a part of that.
How do you think participating in that influenced what DTx is doing?
Well, I hope, like I said, that it when they're in their labs, I can't imagine all the technical work they're doing, that, they remember our voices, these people, from kids to adults that have been dealing with this for, like Stella, just for a few years, or people that have had it for 50 years, right? And that we're all out there and we're rooting for them. So yeah, I think, I hope that, that sticks with them, and they just know that the work they're doing is just super important for folks like us.
Yeah, I think they do know it. Artie talked about it in his presentation, that letter is still sitting over his desk.
Yeah,
So,
it means a lot. It really means a lot to us to hear that. It feels really good.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about the empowering. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, obviously as parents, right, you want to do everything you can for your kids. So we've just tried to find any way we can be active, and Cody and I don't have CMT, and it's hard for us to even relate to what Stella's feeling, right? And at her age, you know, she can't always express what she's feeling, and she doesn't like to talk about it. So we want to be active, right? So things like writing a letter, or, you know, we make monthly donations to the Research Foundation, and it's as much as we can, just to feel like we're trying to be part of it, right? We're trying to be part of a solution, and yeah, and a part of a community, right? That there's a lot of us out here that are doing whatever we can, right, to help.
Thank you so much for doing that. Do you have any advice, either one of you, for parents who are in a similar situation?
Take this.
I mean, we try to have a positive attitude, and we try to be realistic too. And I feel like we're in a new horizon with this genetic therapy, and that is very hopeful for us. And we're being active and trying to encourage Stella to do whatever she can and not be limited as much as she can, and just stay positive.
Yeah. Patient, but
positive.
slightly impatient.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming today and telling a little bit about your story. I think it's really excellent for the researchers to hear from families and to hear from kids, and to put faces with genes and mice. You know,
Right.
We're putting some real people behind it. But I also think it's really good for patients to, and the patient community, to hear how just taking a small step by writing a letter, or by making that monthly donation you referred to, how that even helps you feel like you're being part of the solution, like you're in control of, to some degree. You know, you're not a scientist, the answer is not going to come from you, but it takes you to be part of the answer. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having us. It's been really fun to listen to this morning. It's been great.
So, very encouraging for us.
Absolutely.
Good. I'm glad. You know, that was the whole point of today. That was the genesis of it. I've been encouraged over the last 3 years, definitely. And it was, how can we share that news and encouragement with everyone else? So I'm glad that's your takeaway. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You know, so I want to say also that, you know, I've chosen to be part of the solution also. Starting the Research Foundation with Pat, I wasn't going to sit by and watch my feet wither and deteriorate and my legs weaken and continue to trip and fall. I wasn't going to do that. And being a part of the solution helps me know that I'm ending my family's legacy. 6 generations of my family. And to think that I can tell my mom, who's on the call today, that, you know, we're doing this, we're ending it. Your grandchildren aren't going to know this disease. That's the goal. We know that a way to get involved is definitely by donating. You heard about the match. I'm not going to pitch too hard to ask you guys for money today. That's not why you're here. But you are here to know how you can be a part of the solution. And we've heard signing up for a natural history study is so important. I would encourage each one of you to visit our program, where you can learn how you can sign up for natural history studies. You can also sign up for clinical trials as they happen. We have a clinical trial finder on our website, and you can go and sign up there. And if there's not a clinical trial active for you right now, when there is one, you will be notified via email. So those are just 2 easy ways to get involved. I would strongly encourage you to go see a CMT clinic where the expertise is there, not only because will you find a doctor who knows more about your CMT than you do, which I know is rare if you're not seeing a CMT clinician, but you will also be a part of all of the data that they're gathering, what naturally happens in the disease, and how do we know that we're changing it with therapies. That's super important, and the patient community absolutely needs to be involved in that. Feel free to write letters, write them to our pharma partners, and write them to the pharma companies that are in the pipeline, and write them to the big pharma companies as well. Let them know that CMT is a disease worth engaging in, worth investing in, worth fighting for. They need to know that. The Research Foundation is doing that, but having your voices to support it is very, very helpful. You heard Artie talk about that earlier today. Definitely, if you can make a donation, You heard Peter talk about his is monthly. If you can make $5, if you can make $25, it matters, it helps. And if you can imagine, there are 3 million of us with CMT. If we all did that, how much money we would have on the table to continue to give to companies like DTx and people like Dr. Cleopa. And don't be shy about asking your friends and family to give. That's where I started on this journey. Started talking about my CMT and started asking other people. It's not about me. It's not about ending this for me. It's about ending it for that next generation. And I hope that you will consider doing that. You know, Facebook makes that really easy for you. Setting up a fundraiser on Facebook and choosing the Research Foundation, it's very easy to do. And last and definitely not least is please don't be shy about talking about your CMT. It has been very cathartic for me to talk about it and for people to understand why I wear leg braces or why I don't wear high heels or why I frequently wear tennis shoes. That's been very helpful for me. It's also been very cathartic. I don't have to make excuses anymore. But what has been really remarkable about me talking about it is in my circles, people are bubbling up from my personal and social circles who have CMT. This year alone, I've had 3 people from my daughter's school community approach me and say, I'm being diagnosed, or my son is being diagnosed with CMT. What do you know about it? It's remarkable. And I think people will come out of the woodwork the more we talk about it. If you love talking about CMT on social media, we have a role for you. You can be an ambassador for the Research Foundation. You can contact me, you can contact Eric, who's our Chief Operating Officer, and you can click in your program to learn more about that. I do want to say thank you all for being here, because even just by showing up today demonstrates your interest in the research and your interest in being part of the solution. So thank you so much for being here.